Yo, what's good? Welcome into the show. This is the San Francisco 49ers Report, and coming your way, blockbuster trade targets for the Niners here. Players San Francisco could target to make a splash and bring in some star power right before the start of the 2024 season. First, we have just an insanely competitive subscriber battle going on between two powerhouse channels here at Chat Sports. The Raiders Report, the 49ers Report, and look how close it is. The Raiders this week have picked up 79 new subscribers. The 49ers Report right behind them at 76,000 subscribers. Now, the Raiders Report is the larger channel, but I want to beat Raiders Report host Mitchell Renz, and I want to claim a victory because I hate losing more than I hate winning, but we'll celebrate some dubs. If you want Niners content every day, that's going to make you think, it's going to allow you to learn, that's going to teach you about the game of football, be informative, entertaining, insightful. That's what we do on a daily basis. Hit that sub button right now. Blockbuster trade target number one. It's a player who we've talked a lot about here on the 49ers Report, and that is Patrick Surtain II of the Denver Broncos. Why a Surtain trade makes sense to me. The Broncos, ladies and gentlemen, are a rebuilding organization, and Surtain is due a contract extension. The Broncos have so many needs on this roster. They don't have a second-round pick. This is all part of the Russell Wilson fallout in which they don't have a lot of money. So why does it make sense for a rebuilding team to pay top dollar to a cornerback when you have more pressing needs? You have to find a quarterback to begin with. And would Patrick Surtain want to play in Denver for the long haul? And this Russell Wilson fallout has made Denver have to cut some really good players, including a four-time second-team All-Pro in Justin Simmons, who leads the NFL in interceptions since coming into the league in 2016. So I know that some Broncos insiders have said Patrick Surtain's not going to get dealt. But to me, when you read the tea leaves, and if you look at what the Broncos have done, it would almost be organizational malpractice to pay him big-time dollars, to pay top-tier money to a cornerback when you have all of these other needs, when you could just get back draft picks in order to build your football team. And for San Francisco, number 2 corner or a number 1 corner opposite of Charvarius Ward, a little bit of an issue, but also as part of that, Ward and Diamador Lenore are due for new contract extensions. So you could have Patrick Surtain, Charvarius Ward, Diamador Lenore as your top 3 corners for 2024. You could sign Surtain to a long-term deal, and then you reassess what you want to do with Ward and or Lenore. Because right now, if the season were to start today, this is your cornerback depth chart. Charvarius Ward, Diamador Lenore in the slot. That's a really good 1-2 punch. And they were really good for San Francisco in 2023. The weakness, though, Ambry Thomas, who to his credit, after the bye week played good football, was not good in the playoffs, and then he got 1 snap in the Super Bowl. So clearly, the Niners lost trust in him then, but they didn't have trust in him in 2022 either when he barely played. And this is coming after a rookie campaign in which I thought he performed well coming down the stretch. And I think the foundation for a Patrick Surtain trade was kind of laid by the L'Jarius Sneed trade between Kansas City and Tennessee. Surtain obviously is the better player, more accomplished player, has more pedigree. He's going to cost a little bit more. But the result is talk about the Denver Broncos for sure getting a first-round pick in exchange for Surtain. L'Jarius Sneed was a borderline All-Pro. He's also still a pretty young player. He didn't get anywhere close to a first-round pick. A 3rd and a 7th for Sneed? Now, part of that was Tennessee having to give Sneed a new contract extension, paying him about $19 million per year, but Patrick Surtain is due a contract extension as well. So maybe a second-round pick gets it done for Patrick Surtain, and another pick, 5th round. You have a lot of compensatory picks at your disposal. I would do that in a heartbeat if I'm San Francisco, and then you sign him to a contract extension later with some of the money that you can't use right now from the Eric Armstead release, because that was a post-June 1 designation, and you can't use that money by rule in NFL free agency. But you can use it a little bit later for a player like Brandon Ayuk and or Patrick Surtain. Let's go. Would you trade and sign Surtain, or would you draft a cornerback in the first or second round? What would you do if you were in the shoes of general manager John Lynch? We want to hear from the faithful in the comments section. Today's 49ers Report is sponsored by the best, the number one, and the largest independently run daily fantasy sports app in North America. Football season may be in the rear view, but the action on the floor and on the baseball diamond is heating up, whether it's tournament season or the fight for playoff home court or a great duel on the baseball diamond. There's no shortage of high-stakes basketball moments and baseball moments this time of year. Get in on the excitement with PrizePicks, America's number one fantasy sports app, where you could turn your hoops knowledge into serious cash. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You could turn $10 into $1,000 with NBA, NHL, college basketball, Major League Baseball entries today on PrizePicks. Again, it's America's number one fantasy sports app. Conference tournaments in the rear view, but the big tournament is here. NBA playoffs are coming up, and again, the Major League Baseball regular season. And here are some of the selections that we like for some sweet 16 play in the NCAA tournament. P.J. Hall, Clemson, more than 16.5 points against Arizona. Jaden Ledee, more than 20.5 points for San Diego State against UConn. And Armando Bacot, the college basketball legend, more than 16.5 points against Alabama. Win big money. Withdraw your winnings. Pick more, pick less. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. And when you use that link, you get a $100 deposit match. Blockbuster trade target numero dos, Marshon Lattimore of the New Orleans Saints. He's been said to be on the trade block, according to Jeremy Fowler, NFL insider for ESPN. Teams think that Lattimore could be available, and here's why he could get traded. Saints are always against the cap. They really proved that the salary cap is real, but not really. The issue with Lattimore, he has missed 17 games over the last 2 years, and Niner fans know this all too well. Signing, trading for, having a lot of injury-plagued players, which grows to be tiresome, and you get fatigued by it for sure. But Lattimore is still only 27 years old. He did stay healthy basically every year prior to 2022, and when right, he's one of the top cornerbacks in the game. Here are the financial implications of a trade. If the Saints were to trade him pre-June 1, $31.3 million in dead money. $16.7 million in cap savings. If they traded him post-June 1, $10.5 million in dead money, $3.9 million in cap savings. But here's the deal. For the Saints to trade him and for the Niners to acquire him, if it doesn't work out, Lattimore has no guaranteed money after 2024. 2023 season was cut short because of injury, but still played solid football. Pro Football Focus overall grade of 67.4, coverage grade of 69.1, 48 tackles, 8 pass breakups, and 1 interception. And 2 times a year, he's been going up against Mike Evans, who every single season that he's been in the NFL has had at least 1,000 receiving yards. Lattimore has been on an island with them. He's been on lockdown mode against Mike Evans. That's the caliber of player that we're talking about here. If you were to pick a corner between Patrick Surtain and Marshon Lattimore, who would you go with? I'm going Surtain. The trade for him will cost more than Lattimore. Lattimore is already making a decent amount of money. You do have the no guaranteed money after 2024. That's somewhat appealing, but I'm going with the younger, less injured, and better player here in Surtain. Trade idea and trade target number 3 would be a trade up in the 2024 NFL draft for San Francisco. Currently, the Niners are slotted at pick number 31. And what the Niners could theoretically do here, if there's a player that they really like, they could trade up for an edge, a young edge to pair up with Nick Bosa for years to come. They could address what is the biggest need on this team right now, and that's offensive line. They could trade up for a stud wide receiver because you're not sure what the future of Brandon Ayuk or Deebo Samuel is as of this moment. Or you could just trade up for the best player available if there's a player that you were just salivating over, who you had high on your board, who somehow fell, and you think they're going to be a bona fide superstar, as Stephen A. Smith would say. Some trade-up candidates here for the Niners. A couple of players that I would love for the Niners to trade up for if it's within range, let's just call it in the early 20s, or if they want to make a splash move, we'll talk about that here in just a moment. Talius Fuaga out of Oregon State can play guard right away, or he could be a Pro Bowl level tackle right away, in my opinion. He has a streak of nastiness and physicality. He's also played in a zone scheme, and he even said at the NFL Combine, I could play in an offense like what the Niners have, just moves so well for his size, and I love the punch that he's able to pack. A lot of the same things I said about Fuaga, I could say about Troy Fautanu out of Washington. He's an offensive tackle whose arms are a little bit shorter. Some people think he's a guard. I think that he could play tackle at the next level. Chop Robinson, very quick first step, elite 10-yard split, ran a great 40-yard dash at 250-plus pounds. Some people compare him to Micah Parsons, fellow Penn Stater. I think maybe they do that sometimes because they both went to Penn State, but Chop Robinson can be defined as a freak. What if the Niners traded up for Brock Bowers? At some point, you have to plan for the post-George Kittle days. Why not bring in a player who is built like George Kittle, who's even a better receiver than George Kittle was at this age, not the blocker that Kittle's been or that Kittle is, but a generational tight end who I think could be an impact player for the next decade. And then if the Niners really want to get a corner, Quinion Mitchell out of Toledo, he's a freak. And I think he's going to be a stud. He, too, a plug-and-play player from the jump who ran a 4.3 40-yard dash, had a bunch of pass breakups, set the school record for pass breakups, by the way, and is an insane athlete who can play man and he can play zone. Here is a trade idea that I have, that I put together here, and it's a move with the Denver Broncos, and it's a move that I want to talk about here that I think could make some sense for San Francisco, where the Broncos do not have a second-round pick. And let's just call a spade a spade. And maybe the Broncos don't move Patrick Surtain. What about this move between San Francisco and Denver, where the Broncos receive 31st overall, 63rd overall in the second round, and then 124 overall? That's enough for the Niners to maybe move up to number 12, or they package those picks to get into the teens. That's something I think that could work out for San Francisco. So with that, let's ask you this. Which of these moves do you like the most? Blockbuster trades, blockbuster trade targets? Let me know down in the comments section. And as always, thanks for watching the show.